Good morning. We hear a lot about the importance of staying in the present moment, and you hear it from me as well. But what about when the present moment doesn't feel good? What about when right now means loss, or watching someone you love slowly disappear, or living in a body that won't heal the way you hoped? Let's face it, sometimes the present moment is downright unbearable, and today I'm going to give you a way to understand this, the only way I know that works for me. So what we're going to be talking about today is a really hard topic. I know that when you're going through an experience in your life that is so painful, whether it be physical, emotional, or even spiritual, thinking about the present moment is the last thing you want to hear, because who wants to become more aware of the pain you're going through? I get it. You're in a situation where it's not the kind of pain you can breathe your way through, or think your way through, or positive affirmation your way through. You are feeling the weight of what is happening right now with no relief in sight. And of course, you might be thinking, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to someone I love? No one should have to live through this. And here's what makes it even harder. Everything you've been told that should help doesn't. Be positive, stay strong, find the lesson, count your blessings, trust the process. And maybe you've tried all of that, and you're still here, in pain, without answers. You see, even our spirituality can't protect us from hard things, nor is it supposed to. So the best I can do for you in this situation is to tell you what works for me. Not in terms of making the pain go away, but in terms of giving you some kind of comfort while you're going through this difficult time. So one thing I'd like you to think about is this. You're not suffering because love is gone. You're suffering because love is still here. You wouldn't be grieving about another person or even about yourself if love wasn't already present. And very often, there is an expansion of love that happens when we're in the midst of crisis. So what do I mean by an expansion of love? Well, sometimes it's the patience you didn't know you had sitting with someone who can't remember your name anymore, and you keep showing up anyway. Sometimes it's the tenderness that surfaces when you're helping someone to do something they used to do so easily, and there's no impatience in you at all. Sometimes it's the way you find yourself talking to your own body differently, not with frustration about what it can't do anymore, but with a gentle acknowledgement of what it's been through, and hopefully gratitude for what it's still doing right. Or maybe it's watching someone you love go through something terrible, and instead of shutting down or running away, you stay open. You let it hurt. You let yourself feel how much you care. That's love expanding. Because when you're up against something this hard, love comes through like never before. The crisis doesn't create the love. The crisis reveals how much love was already there. And then it asks that love to stretch in ways you don't know it could. And you didn't know it could. And if a part of you feels angry about this, at life, at God, at the unfairness of it all, well, feel that too. Because love and anger often exist side by side. Feeling one doesn't cancel out the other. It's just part of being human. But now we get back to the question we asked earlier. Why? Why is this happening? And the hard truth is that in this lifetime, we will rarely know the reason someone we love is suffering or why we are. And that's because our human self cannot see what the soul sees. Our human self is living in linear time, experiencing pain moment by moment. But your soul is looking at something much larger, something that spans lifetimes, something that includes experiences we haven't had yet, and understandings we won't reach until we're no longer here on this earth. And then I promise you, you'll remember everything. But because we are so identified with our human self right now, It's easy to forget that we are a soul first and a human second. Most of us live as though it's the other way around. We think we're humans trying to access spirituality, but it's actually the opposite. The real you is an eternal being having a temporary human experience. So your soul is really the one in charge of your life. It comes here to grow and evolve in the most efficient way it knows how. It doesn't come here for comfort, nor does it come here to purposely suffer. But what it does know is that growth requires contrast and challenge. You cannot know the depth of love without loss. You cannot know compassion without witnessing suffering, or know your capacity for courage without facing something that terrifies you. Now, your human self might be hearing all this and be thinking, okay, that's what my soul is choosing, but I would never have signed up for this. And you are absolutely 100% right. Your human self would never choose your situation right now. Never. So why would a soul choose something your human self finds unbearable? Because your soul doesn't come here to just know about love. It comes here to experience it fully, to live it, to feel it deeply, to expand through it. And sometimes that means going through experiences your human self cannot understand while you're living them. And I have to say that over the years, this is something I've come to understand more deeply. My spiritual mentor used to say to me, Connie, no one can ever know the agenda of another person's soul. The soul is always leading the way, not as a punishment or a test, but for reasons that are not meant to be understood from the human level. There is always love in the lesson, even if you cannot see what it is. And you know something, over time, I've seen this to be true. Sometimes the person you love that is hurting is learning to receive, to let themselves be loved when they can no longer give anything back. And if you've ever tried to receive help when you felt vulnerable, you know how hard that can be. Many people spend their lives being the strong one, the giver, the caretaker. And now their soul is asking them to let love come to them. And your soul? Well, I believe your soul agreed to go along with this, to be the witness, to be the one who stays, to be the one whose heart breaks open while watching something you cannot fix. But you do this out of love for that other soul and for your own soul's growth as well. Now, once again, your human self may say, not me. I would never volunteer for this. And again, you're right. Your human self wants comfort. But your soul is relentless when it comes to love. It will do anything to expand its experience of love because that's why it's here. So you are not expected to understand this now. But one day, probably not in this lifetime, but when you cross over, you will understand why this happened. You will see the whole picture, and you will know why their soul chose this experience and why your soul agreed to walk alongside it. Or you will remember why you chose this experience and why others walked alongside you. And maybe even while you're still here, years and years from now, you may look back and see how this time changed you, how it deepened your compassion, how it reshaped what truly matters, how it expanded your capacity to love. But you may not know that now, and you don't need to. You don't need to understand what this is for in order to honor what's happening. You only need to trust that there is a reason, even if it remains invisible for the rest of your life. So being present when now doesn't feel good and you're hurting is not about figuring anything out. Today is about allowing yourself to feel what you feel without judgment. So you take one day at a time. And when one day feels too hard, you take 1 hour at a time. And when that feels too hard, you take one breath at a time. Rest when you can, and let others hold you when possible. You are in one of the most difficult times of your life, and this present moment is about staying connected to yourself while life is asking more of you than you ever thought you could give. It means giving yourself permission to feel whatever you feel, even when it feels like too much. And if you can do that, if you can stay connected to yourself and have compassion for what you're going through while your heart is breaking, then you are doing something incredibly brave that very few people do. You are letting yourself be fully human while remembering that you are also a soul. And that isn't just enough. That is everything. Because it takes real courage to stay present inside something you can't fix or understand. But you stay anyway. And that, my friends, is true love. So I hope I have helped in some way to give you whatever comfort I can. And you're welcome to share your thoughts in the comments. And why not take advantage and download our free Soul Guide PDF by clicking on More right below this video. And the next step in learning more about living in the present moment is in this video right here. Well, where you'll learn 3 simple practices that'll help you return to right here, right now, and being more present. So until our next time, I send you my blessings and want to always remind you that there really is no one worth knowing more than you.